Nation of Fit in 10, welcome to day 58, and we've got 12 days to go. That's right, we are out of the teens in terms of days left, and soon to be in the single digits, if you can believe it. I told you this challenge goes by super fast. Today, I'm not going to talk about any sweet treat per se. I am going to get into a topic that I promised I would talk about some time ago. I think it was back in the beginning, and that is why people who yo-yo diet, or let's be more specific here, why people who throughout their life who do very low calories, spurts of low calories throughout their life, why they tend to get fatter as time moves on or as they progress through their life. So why does this happen? They're doing low calories. Why are they getting fatter? So let's talk about this. I've made a little graph here, and so basically, just to give you a little synopsis here of what's going on, we have got on the x-axis here, we've got time, of course, okay, and so time is moving along in this direction, and then we've got three different colors here. We've got green, red, and purple, okay? And so what do each of these different colored lines represent? Well, the green represents food. The red represents metabolic rate. And the purple represents, excuse me, the purple represents fat, okay, body fat. So you start your diet, okay? You're super motivated, and you're really looking to get your weight down. So we start here and we drop the food. I mean, really, this should just be a straight line down because generally that's what happens. But anyways, you get the gist of it. The line or the food intake goes right down. Okay, so we start, here we are day one, we drop the food right down. So calories are very low. And then as time moves on, we can see that, of course, body fat drops, okay? This blue line here, the body fat is dropping along with the metabolic rate, okay? And now some of this metabolic drop is due to fat loss, so this makes sense. But a lot of this is the body wanting to close that energy gap that's been created between your old energy intake, or essentially what's been setting your metabolic rate, and the amount of energy you're getting in, right? We've got this huge energy disconnect. So over time, time is going along here. The food is very low. And over time, of course, the fat comes down. And as I mentioned, the metabolic rate comes down to a point where we, let's say, reach our goal. So we reach our goal right here, all right? Let's pretend this is, 6 months. So we reach our goal. I mean, I don't think people could probably withstand a super calorie deficit for that long, but let's just say that's the case. Let's just say 6 months, okay? They reach their fat loss goal and they say, okay, I'm here. I've got to my fat loss goal. I'm super tired. I'm drained. I need some food. I'm starving and I can't really do this any longer. So I'm at my goal now. So let me bring my calories back up. So they shoot their calories right back up. Okay. And sometimes this isn't even by design. This is just like, they may have not even reached their goal. They're so exhausted. They just shoot their calories right back up. So they shoot the calories back up. And of course, what do we notice over time? Well, we notice that the metabolic rate goes up, okay, in red. And then we also notice that the fat goes up. And in fact, what's happened here is you've primed your body to basically store body fat. The body really wants to store fat. It's had a major calorie deficit for a period of time, and now it's primed for fat gain, especially with a huge abundance of calories added back in. So what tends to happen over time is, so we've added that food back in, we're going along again over time, the fat's creeping back up, the metabolic rate's coming up, that's awesome, we want that, but it doesn't seem to quite return to where it was in the beginning. And we get some body fat overshooting as a result. So even though the calories in this example are the same. The calories where before the diet started are the same when we come out of the diet. Even though they're the same, we see an overshooting of body fat. We get more body fat. We are fatter now than what we were at the same amount of calories. Man, that's terrible. Like, who wants to go back to having the same amount of calories and yet now you're in a worse position? Metabolic rate is lower, fat is higher. You've created a scenario for which you do not want to be in. So what do you do? What do people typically do after this point? Well, let's pretend this is a year or whatever. Or let's call it another 6 months. We'll make the periods of time even. You say, okay, all right, let's drop this fat again. So we cut down the calories because that's what worked last time. So you cut the calories down, and of course, body fat starts to come down, but it's not coming down the same as it was before. And of course, we see a drop in metabolic rate because we drop the calories back down. But, out of frustration, you can see your fat is still really, really high and the body's just not responding. So what do? We say, okay, I guess I'll drop my calories more. So we drop the calories more. So that green line goes down again. And the body fat, again, comes off a little bit more, but it's just not coming off the same. And again, we're getting a huge drop in that metabolic rate. And again, what do? Well, we cut the food again, even lower, hoping to get that fat off and really getting to a point where we're super, super frustrated. And this is really what happens when you go through these periods of ultra low calories. And obviously one of the biggest downfalls of this is a loss in lean body mass, mainly being muscle, but also being some of that bone mass, which you'll lose as well. Now, one thing you can always do, and this sort of is aside from this, is when you're trying to lose body fat, is you always want to weight train, right? There's a huge difference between groups of people who weight train and try to lose fat versus those who just try to do calorie deficit and maybe they do some level of exercise, but they don't do weight training. We see a big discrepancy between the types of tissues those two groups lose. The non-weight training group tends to lose a lot more muscle mass. The weight training group tends to keep all of their muscle mass. If they're new, maybe they'll even gain muscle mass. And of course, this is going to be very, very helpful for long-term fat loss because you probably know by now that that muscle mass has got a very, very high calorie requirement, right? In order to sustain the muscle, it takes a lot of calories. So this is one of the many reasons why you want to weight train when you're trying to lose fat, which is why I'm going to recommend after this challenge that you keep doing the resistance training, okay? You keep doing the online classes, or maybe you're going to a gym, you're going to keep doing the resistance-based workouts, okay? If you want me to go through that again, let me know. I'm more than happy to. But this is a prime example of exactly what happens through time. Now, obviously, this scenario will repeat itself over and over and over again, and people just tend to get fatter. If you look at all the people who finish like The Biggest Loser, after a number of years, they're all fatter. They're all fatter than they were before. The television show, The Biggest Loser, if you don't know what I'm talking about, where they get pretty obese people and they put them through ridiculous amount of exercise and super low calories. And they lose like a ridiculous amount of weight in a very short period of time, but this is not sustainable, obviously, right? Needs to be sustainable. Whatever you are trying to reflect needs to be a reflection of whatever. This is only a reflection of what you're basically currently doing, or what you've been doing for the recent past, right? You're just a reflection of your recent past when it comes to your physical, at least the way you physically look. Okay, so whatever you choose to do, you've got to upkeep that. Right? So this is why I always say it's got to be reasonable and consistent. Okay, let's get to the message of the day on this day 58. And this is just a reminder that your potential, the absolute best you're capable of, that is the metric you should measure yourself against, okay? Don't worry about what other people are doing or how good or how bad they are or whatever. It doesn't matter. You've got to ask yourself, can you improve in certain parameters, right? Are you meeting your exercise requirements consistently? Are you meeting your macros consistently? You know, how much of an accurate reflection is your eating journal? If you're doing it, hopefully you're doing it. Does it accurately reflect what you're doing? Right? Because that's another important question. Ask yourself, can you get better? And obviously you know the answer is yes, you can. Of course you can. So this is what you ought to focus on, okay? Your potential, the absolute best you're capable of, that is the that is the metric to measure yourself against. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.